Hello, welcome, gorgeous beings of light. This is Almara. Oh, it's been a little while since I've been in touch with you, but I have had some big things happening. I'm moving interstate, and yeah, my old phone died in the bottom, and taking me a while to work out how to use this one. So let's all just take a big breath in. Connect to the sun, the earth, and your own divine I am presence and heart and higher heart and super conscious heart. I just wanted to take a moment to share a couple of the miracles that have happened. I'll just lift this up a bit. Look at that gorgeous view. That's the view from my room that I'm staying in. So let's see if I can't do that a bit better because it's much nicer up there. The good old pillow keeps moving. Anyway, you've got a picture of the lawn there. Doesn't matter if you have your eyes closed, it doesn't matter what it looks like anyway, does it? Anyway, I wanted to let you know that I'm on my way back up to Queensland. I've been guided to do that for some time, but I've been moving between going, oh, this is a fabulous idea, and going, what the hell am I doing? I'm turned 60 years of age and I can't keep gallivanting around the countryside. But what I wanted to share with you today is how important it is that you follow your bliss or follow your heart, no matter how many of your friends are worrying about you. And some darling friend just wrote to me and said, how blessed I am that I have all these friends that worry about me. But the truth is that worrying is a negative energy and it just brings people's energy down. So next time you're inclined to worry about them, rather than do that, maybe just say a prayer for them. And I want to share just this little miracle that happened in the last 24 hours. Well, there's been a couple of things that are just will make you realize how important it is that you do follow your bliss and you do know that there's a divine plan when you have something calling you. So I've had the feeling to go to the coast and be by the ocean, and sometimes it doesn't always work out the way that you plan it would be. So I was so sure that I was meant to be, in front of the ocean, and that's not what's happened so far. But it is lovely to be in an area where I can feel the sea again. I'm staying here in Port Macquarie, and I have about 460 kilometres left on my journey. But this is what I wanted to share with you. There's a couple of things. Well, I'll tell yesterday's story first. So I'm driving between Newcastle and here. If you're ever driving between Newcastle and here, there is a place called, Condong Long Look or something. If you want the name, just let me know. But it's about the only place in the highway there that you actually have to slow down to 60 kilometres, because all the others are on, you have to go take a side road, but this passes right through the town. So you have to slow down on the left-hand side coming from Newcastle to Port Macquarie. There is a big place that says Andy's Cherry Pie Cafe. And I remember I was talking to my mum on the phone, and as I sailed past it, I said, I should stop and get some of that. It just sounds fabulous. But I kept talking to Mum, and finally she had to go and I had to go, and I was about 10, 12 kilometres past it, or 10, I was about 5 kilometres past it, but for the next 5 kilometres I could not get that cherry pie out of my mind. So I just turned around, drove the car back, and thank God I did. It was the most delicious cherry pie I've ever tasted. It had no sugar in it. The filling was just simply big plump cherries. There was nothing else in it. You could tell there was no sugar because it had that tartiness to it. But the pastry, oh my God, the pastry was a good old fashioned butter pastry, about a quarter of an inch thick on the top and the bottom, and oh my God, it was just so worth it. It was so worth the stop, and it was so worth that cherry pie. And so if you're ever travelling this way, I recommend that you do that, because that was just, and to go back, I'm so pleased I went back, because I kind of knew that I'd probably never drive this road again. And that cherry pie would have haunted me forever if I hadn't gone back. So anyway, that's the first story I wanted to share with you. But the most important one I want to share with you is about my accommodation. So it's coming up and almost into school holiday time, and of course they have just unlocked some of the borders, and Queensland's talking about unlocking theirs on the 10th of July. which is, I don't know if that's at the start or towards the end of the school holidays. I think they have another week after that. I think they probably thought if they kept them in lockdown for 1 week and then they can't do as much damage in the second week or whatever. But anyway, so of course, all the things that were really cheap last week on the coast to rent have all gone back up to $100, $200 a night, which is not really what I was looking for. And anyway, so last night I do a Google search for places and found this place that looked fabulous, but it was up in the hills out from Coffs Harbour, I think. It was called Valla, Valla, but it was a whole earth house, a whole house for just $33 a night. And I was like, wow, that's fabulous. So I actually book it for a week. I book it for a week and I write to the guy and ask him about booking it for a whole month. And he writes back, it's just a newly listed property. He writes back and says to me, he writes back to me and says, I can't do this. He said I'm hamstrung. I didn't even know what that meant. But when I asked him, he said it was because he was too busy. And which is just interesting since he'd only just listed the property. And so I wrote back saying, look, I'm pretty self-sufficient. I just need the roof over my head. And he never answered that inquiry. And so I just went to sleep saying, God, if it's meant to be, can you show me? So this morning I get up and I check his listing. He's now put it up to $49 a night. That's the real reason it wasn't available. He must have had lots of inquiries and decided he wanted to charge more for it. But I still just continued to search and I found this spectacular place just 12 minutes from the beach up in the Gold Coast hinterland, where it had a spectacular view, a swimming pool, which is of no interest to me, 2 dogs, a miniature pony, 2 chooks, and my own room with my own bathroom in this exquisite place for $25 a night. So it was where I wanted to be. I then just got my border pass because I am moving there to live permanently. You can cross the border into Queensland if you're moving there to live permanently. And so I saved myself, probably saved myself on the difference in the price. I probably saved about $400 anyway. So I wanted to just remind you that when things don't look like they're turning out. Now, that listing was not there yesterday. It was a new listing there this morning, the $25 a night one in Queensland, hinterland. So sometimes when things don't work out, it's because Spirit has a bigger plan for you. And what you have to do is just stay connected to your heart and know that there is. And last night I was a little bit like, what's going on with that bloke, And then, but this morning I was just like, no, God, there has to be a better way. You wouldn't be sending me on this trip to Queensland and not give me somewhere to live when I got there, because I certainly couldn't at this point. I'm expecting to re-establish things when I get there, but I certainly didn't want to be paying $200 a night for a whole month, and especially with school holidays coming up, accommodation becomes scarce as well. So anyway, that's my story for today. I have heaps of others I can tell you that have happened along this journey, but I just want to remind you that there is always a perfect plan, and to follow your own heart, even when, because people, I love it that people care about me, but people should just pray for people if you're worried about them, because that's your worry. And oftentimes you're bringing the vibration of the person down. That's certainly what happens for me. I can feel all that stuff going on. And it's just like, then it makes me doubt my own knowing about going, where I'm going or what I'm supposed to be doing. Especially if they're long-term friends of 20, 30 years, which is sometimes what happens to me. Or even if they're a long-time friend of 5 or 10 years, it still happens. So anyway, gorgeous beings of light, I just want to share with you this gorgeous view. I'm just going to lift it up and show you all those gorgeous trees. I've been meditating with that. We can see me as well. I'm just going to spin around here. That's the street I've been in, catch a bit of that sunshine for you. We're just a couple of streets back from the beach here, so you can feel all that gorgeousness in the air. And hopefully if I can set this down properly, we'll just send you a blast of fifth dimensional energy, which I've been meditating in because I was really tired and just needed to take a break from driving. And now I feel fabulous after a couple of hours of meditation. So just breathe that in. And remember to use your energy to ask for what you want and not what you don't want, because we're in such a powerful time of the year, time on Earth at this moment, when so much energy is pouring in. But it's pouring in order for you to connect to your infiniteness. Unfortunately, people are being distracted by this virus, and being distracted by Black Lives Matter, which I think is really important that we do that. I'm not saying don't do that. I've seen people kind of coming out with, well, white lives matter, all lives matter. Yes, they do, but white people have never had to sit and worry about whether they're going to die just because there's a policeman across the road. So I think it's really important to remember that Black lives matter too. If the statement bothers you, all lives matter too. But, just make sure that I'm not against the Black Lives Matter, but I'm just saying people are being distracted from that, because when you stay connected to your power, when you stay connected to your soul, to the infinite part of who you are, then everything works out perfectly. It's when you become distracted by that and you worry and you get fearful that lowers your vibration, and then, of course, you attract things of a lower quality. Anyway, love, love, love. My deepest love and richest blessings to you all. Have a truly blessed day, and we'll talk to you again soon. Bye now.